Yeah, let's do it. Let's knock her out of the park real quick.
All right. First, I'm gonna share my screen.
Yeah.
And just quickly show the preparatory exercise, just in case, just for
Smart.
All right, let's start with the introduction. Hello, y'all. I'm Ryan King.
I'm Sebastian Molina.
We're both enrolled in COR-400 Science and Human Nature, and we're presenting today the multiverse. And yes, the title is a reference to a comic book. Right, before we get started, I'm gonna have you all take a do this preparatory exercise we've prepared for you today. If you can't access it, please let me know. To those of us joining in.
Oh, okay. I'll leave you to your.
Hello?
Just keep going.
Okay. To those just joining in, I'm Ryan King with Sebastian Molina, representing on the multiverse. Before we get started, can anyone see the preparatory exercise? I'll take that as a yes. Basically, what you're going to do is just list alternate versions of you on alternate parallel Earths, like just to list out what your life might be like on those alternate dimensions. Okay? If you would just take a quick screenshot, that'd save us some time. I hope you enjoyed that exercise. Anyway, we'll get started. Can everyone see it? Sebastian, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it. I'm good.
Okay.
All right, let's get it.
All right. Some key.
So basically, the key concepts that we're going to be covering throughout the presentation will cover what the multiverse is, the history of it, which is going to be divided into two parts, evidence of it, and ways to detect if we are or not part of the universe, or the multiverse, which is also split into two parts. And we're also going to get into a few multiverse theories that have been developed and studied, and these are going to be the infinite universe theory, the bubble universe theory, the dotted universe theory, mathematical universe theory, and parallel universe theory. And then we're also going to get into how the multiverse has much relation with science and human nature, which is the class we're taking now, obviously. And we're also going to get into how multiverse is related to a lot of popular fiction, science fiction today.
That last one's
so yeah.
Fun.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Can everyone see it?
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Please take in awe the image behind us. Okay. Before we get
right, so has anyone heard of the multiverse before we get into it? Has anyone heard of the multiverse before today?
Going once, going twice.
Or we have a yes in the chat. All right, cool. So hopefully those who haven't, you will learn a lot throughout the presentation.
To those who, what he said. Just hope you learn from this. To start, what is the multiverse, basically? It's basically a theoretical reality that includes possibly infinite number of parallel universes.
And together, these universes comprise basically everything that exists, from the entirety of space, time, matter, energy, information, to the physical laws and constants that describe these.
Yeah. Did everyone get that? Take that as a yes. All right,
so to get into the first part of the history of the multiverse, notable where the term coined from. So the term multiverse was coined in 1895 by American philosopher and psychologist William James, but in a different context. To throw a little quote there from his work, Is Life Worth Living? Visible nature is all plasticity and indifference. A multiverse, as one might call it, and not a universe. And the term was first used in fiction and in its current physics context by Michael Moorcock in his 1963 SF Adventures novella called The Sundered Worlds, which is part of his Eternal Champion series.
These are all just basically fun facts. fun
Yeah.
historical facts about the multiverse, in case y'all are a bit thrown off. Part 2 of the history of the multiverse. Well, in case you may not know this, the idea of the multiverse, it goes way back, like back to ancient times, like roughly 2,500 years ago. And like the atomists, for example, they believe that these atomic collisions gave rise to an endless number of parallel worlds, which were less than perfect than our own, because our universe, what's more perfect than our universe? Am I right? Moving on, the Stoics, on the other hand, they believe that the cosmos was imbued with this eternal, indestructible soul, which was constantly recycling itself, kind of like a rebirth, like recycling. It's created and then destructed, and the cycle continues all over again. Is everyone following me so far? Okay. But of course, even back in the ancient times, the multiverse had its critiques, or naysayers, as they called it. And one of them was, in fact, Aristotle, who we all know, or to those who have taken and or are currently taking COR-400, he believed in geocentrism, the idea that the Earth was the center of the universe. But the reason he rejected the possibility of the multiverse, it was because that space, according to him, is not unlimited, and since infinite space has no center, and the Earth is the center of our universe, then it cannot be the case that the world is infinitely extended, as well as like any other worlds. All right, now moving on to talks of the multiverse in medieval times, like chivalry, all that. Ideas about the multiverse were found in a lot of works of the medieval European philosophers, such as scholar Robert Cross-Test, who wrote De Luce. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. And in his work, one should note that he entertained the possibility that there could be a multiverse out there, though he denied its existence because his ideas were banned, because for some his ideas were too much forward thinking for some, particularly the Papal Edict of 1277. But even though he, Cross-Test, denied the existence of other world, he created the conditions to think about them. Then moving on to early modern multiverse ideas. In his Discourse on Metaphysics work in 1686, Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz, he developed this notion of possible worlds that rose from the question of which world God would choose to bring into existence. Because in Leibniz's point of view, God was restricted to consider from a supply of worlds that were not contradictory, and whose laws of physics were consistent. Although these possible worlds exist in the mind of God, Leibniz believed that God's goodness required that he only bring into physical existence the best of all possible worlds, which is our world. Did everyone follow? Is everyone following so far? Thumbs up if you're following so far. Okay, thank you. The next slide. The man who pretty much gave us the multiverse was Hugh Everett III, who is famous for his many worlds interpretation in quantum mechanics. The story behind this goes back to 1954, when Everett was a grad student at Princeton University. This one evening in 1954, Everett was drinking with some friends of his when he came up with the idea that quantum effects cause the universe to constantly split. And so he developed this idea for his PhD thesis, and the theory held up. According to him, we are living in a multiverse of countless universes full of copies of each of us, doppelgangers, if you will. Some physicists, such as Max Tegmark of MIT, they thought Everett's work was sensational, astonishing. Of course, some the leading physicists at the time, such as Niels Bohr, they couldn't accept the idea that every decision we make creates new universes, one for all possible outcomes. And Everett was so disgruntled that he left physics, though not before he published what you call a watered down version of his idea. Is everyone following so far? I just got an email, so forgive for the bleeping. Okay, moving on. We have what we're covering right now is evidence of the multiverse. In the multiverse, it is a theory, but there is indeed evidence, or at least that hints its existence. For example, this image you see right here is a picture of a study on this cold spot by the Royal Astronomical Society, or RAS. This study is following this cold spot, which is a cold patch of space that's seen in the radiation produced by the formation of the universe more than 13 billion years ago. So this is a remnant of what you may say the birth of our universe, the Big Bang, if you will. This cold spot was first glimpsed in 2004, though its existence wasn't confirmed until 2017. About well, it says 4 years ago, but that's but I'm following the math of the article, so forgive the confusion. Moving on. This quote from Professor Tom Shanks, it's his theory that this cold spot was caused by a collision between our universe and another bubble universe, which is one of the theories we're going to cover today. Is everyone following so far? No one's. Who is like confused? Anyone confused? Okay, I'll take that. So no.